My name's Joel Action Vasquez. I'm representing Brooklyn, New York, representing Team Iron Rooster, Masonette's Thai Boxing, and Bancho MMA. My teachers are Esteban Masonette and Matthew Kaplan.
Okay, what made you get into Muay Thai?
Muay Thai became second nature for me in reference to just my love for striking. I kind of gravitated towards boxing at a very early age, and between the mixture of being inspired by film and animations and anime and cartoons and things of that nature, it just really drove me to move more in a direction to free form fighting, which obviously Muay Thai is one of the immediate references to a very limited rule set as far as striking is concerned.
What are some of your inspirations for Muay Thai?
Like who?
Yeah.
Uh, I think that kind of changes from time to time, and I wouldn't say that I could really note one person or one fighter. I realized this about myself pretty recently, actually, is that I'm a big fan of art. I'm not as much of a fan of artists, so I feel like I kind of gravitate more towards taking things from artists that inspire me in their moments of greatness as opposed to just trying to um, emulate or try to imitate a fighter in and of themselves. But as far as fighters that I definitely look at a lot, and the first ones that come to mind, I would of course have to say like the naturally being where I'm from, one of the first people we get introduced to in Thai boxing that we look at a lot is Sanchai. Of course, I really like the Boakho style. Danny Bill is a big one that I loved watching. Diesel Noi and Boon Lai. I would say if I had to immediately grab like four or five, and Rod Tang definitely fits somewhere in the mix. I just love his tenacity and his passion for the sport.
Now, before you got into martial art, did you have any goals for anything else before boxing?
Before I did any martial art, I thought that I was gonna be a background dancer. Real talk. I'm not even joking. I really, I really was into. My brother actually was into like dance choreography and stuff like that. And then I still admire it from a distance now. It's a lot different than it was back in the day. Like it's not so much like the backup dancer. Like now, with social media and just having access to the channels and the people we have access to now, it's just really cool seeing just people express themselves through movement in general. And I think I first fell in love with expressing myself through movement, and then that definitely started with dancing. And then afterwards, the challenge of martial arts just kind of made me put the two and two together. If you could express yourself under extreme duress and kind of stick to a strategy and still somehow make that strategy your own, even though I could verbalize it for you. And that's kind of what really gravitated me towards combat. But first and foremost, I would definitely say just movement in general. I was always into dancing.
And what about the gymnastics?
I've never done gymnastics ever. I mean, I've messed around and I've had friends who were good power tumblers that turned into free runners or turned into doing parkour and things of that nature. But as far as acrobatics, I guess I would kind of more um, subject it to. I just again through film and through just martial arts in general. I've always watched all the action films and watched all the animes, and I never once looked at anything other than like the over the top things. But if it looked humanly possible, I just always told myself that there's a way that I could achieve that, and I just never really kind of took no for an answer. I guess that's the stubbornness for me. I always knew that there's a baby step that I could take that'll point me in the right direction towards becoming the type of person that I'm watching, whether it be in film or whether it's anything that looks depictable in anime and things of that nature. But what got me into it would just be me exploring movement. But what kept me into it was the community and the friendships that it brought me, and just the objectively everybody's same in relation to martial arts. Just being in a room full of people, or in this case, parks full of people, or gymnastic floors full of people that are just trying to get better one motion at a time, and just seeing development amongst your friends and amongst yourself, and you guys just continuously just hyping each other up and patting each other on the back, and just kind of chasing betterment.
So how much do you think dancing and like gymnastics helps with martial art, like the cohesiveness
I would
of
say
everything?
that there's definitely a lot of continuity between the way you move your body in dance or in any facet for that matter towards combat. I feel like combat is pretty much no different from any other movement. It's just a matter of the test not being as much based on yourself. The test is a formidable foe that's going to see if you can adhere to your strategies and adhere to your techniques, even though there's someone also trying to just get you off your game, get you off your rhythm, trying to physically hurt you, someone trying to dominate you. The challenge of wills is what separates it from all the other movements, but I feel like the approach as far as getting better at the movements are pretty much one and the same. It's just extreme practice and just developing building blocks and being able to learn 10,000 things from one thing. Just knowing that if you can do a certain assortment of movements, that will allot you to being able to do another assortment of movements that may be more complicated if you can somehow figure out how you're going to put everything together. So I think they're one and the same.
And you were talking about challenges of will. When you hit like say if you hit like a roadblock, what pushes you to get over that?
Um, there's so many different ways to approach it. I feel like there's always a distinction between the roadblocks. I like to never consider two problems exactly the same, or two instances that you go through problems. I've been through the same type of problems and came up with a different answer every time I've approached it. That's just always going to depend on where you are in your life, where you are mentally at that moment, and what you could conceive in your own mind to get over it. But I think for me, it's very important for me to distinguish the difference between the pressures that other people allot to me, like what other people believe are the pressures that I should be facing, whether it be financially, whether it's emotionally, whether it's physically or mentally, and then just me embracing those challenges and looking at them as challenges, and being excited about overcoming, and being able to be excited that I have an opportunity to overcome things, as opposed to trying to relish in being comfortable. I feel like a lot of people completely try to disassociate when it comes to suffrage. Like they try to go through their suffrage and try to not make it a part of who they are, when that is the most you'll ever be, is when you're the hungriest, is when you're the most dehydrated, is when you're the most tired. That's when your true characters come out. So I feel like me in suffrage, I just get to know a lot more about who I really am, and it really teaches you how to cut the fat. Not literally in some cases, but my conversations seem a lot shorter when I'm not willing to go through more. And I kind of get straight to the point, and some people may think of that as like a con, but as far as for myself, I realize the efficiency of time is important, and just that we don't have that much time, and for us to dance around 10 different ways to say the same thing makes no sense. I'd rather be direct and go ahead and suffer now, and then come out the other end and be able to reflect on the suffering that I've just done, and be able to see where I can grow from it, as opposed to dwelling on it.
Do you like set small goals for yourself when you find that you can't, or you're having a hard time overcoming something? Do you like try to, when they say it's one step at a time, and then you overcome it, or is it like, all right, I'm gonna try to get over this altogether.
I feel like once you compartmentalize your suffering, then you're consistently looking for these little gleams of light, and you're just looking for the little holes of sunshine that pocket through, and you hold on to those things. And I feel like that's good, but that we all know that that's very short lived. I feel like as far as like goals are concerned, I don't really try to put too much pressure on what my end game is, on what the goals are. I try to make them as vague as possible. If I could be happy every day, if I could move my body how I please every day, if I have food in my belly, and if I have laughs with people that I care about, I genuinely think that those are great days. I feel like a lot of people try to make goals and they don't realize how superficial the goals that they make are. That the goals that they make have very little to do with them and have a lot to do with a caricature that they're trying to depict themselves as, and they think that they find happiness. When I realize the reality of it is that you never find happiness, you be happy. You become happiness. You make the decision that what you have is enough and is more than enough, and you have to acknowledge the abundance that you have. For me, it might be just the ideas in my head. It might be my ability to move my body. It might be the skills that I've acquired, and nothing in this life comes easy. So I feel like the more you just kind of keep foot on the gas and move in a direction towards the things that you want, and you could genuinely appreciate every crumb that you get that fell from that one piece of bread that you want that got wiped off the table, you'll stop looking down and eventually you'll realize the whole loaf is on the floor right in front of you, you know?
Yeah.
And it might be easier to eat that way too.
Now, I know you were talking about goals and holding on to them. What's your end goal, and what will make you feel complete?
I hope I never feel complete. I feel like when I say that, like people often look at me and look at that as a bad thing. I feel like I don't ever want to look at myself and feel like I've done enough.
You always want to be hungry.
It's not the hungry. I want to know that after I've eaten a meal and my belly's filled, that it will digest and I'll be able to enjoy just as much food another day. You know, I feel like it's really important for me to just enjoy my process. That's not just pertaining to martial arts. That's every day that I could have asked for money from everybody, and then I just think back and I tell myself like I made the decisions that led me to this exact moment, and the decisions were fun. So now it's time to face the reality of the decisions and not look for the easy way out, and kind of learn to grow from those prior decisions that I made. That's just like in reference to like finances or hunger or things of that nature. But I feel like I know a lot of people that just set themselves up for success and set themselves up for success, and they just never really think that the success that they set themselves up for isn't even the success that they wanted in the first place. Success has become such a vague thing. It's just like money in your pocket and places to go and a roof over your head and people laughing at your jokes. And I'm just after like so much more than that. I want to be able to be 60 years old and look at this video and know that I gave it my best, that as little of a percentage that I had to be born and to be great, that I took the risk and I fired and I gave it everything that I had while I had anything to give. And then when I don't have anything to give, I pray that there's another venture that I'll find myself on that I'm able to give my full self to. And then if there's not, then, you know, we had the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. But I'll get to be able to say that I lived more than a lot of people that are successful.
Alright, so you have a fight coming up.
No way. Serious?
I
When?
just heard about this, man. I heard
Oh
it's,
my
this
God,
Friday.
bro! I gotta go to the gym.
Man. How do you feel?
I feel like I am on my path. I don't have any malice towards the opponent. I don't have any malice towards any of it. I just feel like this is a step in the direction of becoming the person that I am trying to be. I do my best not to tie myself too much to the outcomes, win, lose, or draw. As long as I go out there and I give my best, and I competed with my heart and my mind and my soul and my body, and I gave everything that I have to give. I just don't see me being disappointed in myself. The people who love me are gonna love me regardless, and that is a solidified fact. I've been in very low points in my life where I haven't treated the people closest to me the best, and they've stuck around. They've already proved their worth, and those are the people that I'm a lot more concerned with keeping around me. Uh, Being my professional debut, obviously, it would add a lot more pressure in reference to the amount of people watching or the amount of people that are just coming out the woodworks and at least trying to enforce the fact that they care. And I mean it like with all due respect, but it's just if you're not there for the journey, it could matter less to me if you've been there for the ascension or when you don't get on the roller coaster once it starts going down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to be there for the build up, for the climb, for that chugga 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 chugga. Before you get there, don't pick your fucking hands up and scream "we" if you just got on, because you don't even know how high we really just climbed. But as far as how I feel about the fight, I could say I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I am walking my path. I feel like I am deciding to ask permission from the universe to be the greatness that I believe that I have all the tools to be. And I can't wait to be on the other side of this and learn the lessons that are there to learn from it.
Alright. So is there anything else you would like to say?
No, that's solid. That's good.
Well, that's Joel Action Vasquez,
Is me.
and he's having his pro debut. That's
March 12th, Friday at CFFC. You can catch me on the Facebook Live of CFFC, and if you can on UFC Fight Pass. I don't know if I'll be on the Fight Pass, but just tune in CFFC.tv and don't miss me making my professional debut.